9 basic steps to repairing your credit. Regardless of why your credit is the way it is, you have the power to fix it. Make a plan for your money. You probably notice that a lot of the reasons people end up with bad credit have to do with bad money management. Not paying bills and making late payments on credit cards and other loans are often the results of not having a clear plan of how you are going to spend your money. In other words, your money is in control of you rather than the other way around. The way to turn the tables with this is to make a plan for your money. You do this in 2 parts. First, you create a spending record. A spending record is a snapshot of your expenses. It shows you how much money you are bringing in, how much of it you are spending, and what you are spending it on. It usually takes a couple of months to create an accurate spending record, but once you have it, it is an invaluable resource. The other part of making a plan for your money is creating a spending plan to go along with your spending record, whereas a spending record shows you the state of your finances. A spending plan shows you how to manage your money in a way that maximizes its potential. Everything you need to pay is covered in your spending plan, including credit card payments and payments for other loans. As long as you follow your spending plan, you will never be late on those things again, and your credit will improve. Pay your bills on time. One of the best things you can do to repair your credit is to pay your bills on time every month. Your spending plan will help you do this once you put it together. The important thing with these steps is consistency. Even if you skip just 1 month, that one miss is going to have a negative impact on your credit. It really boils down to keeping tabs on everything you do all the time. If your problem is that you forget to pay your bills, a great option that is available to you is to set up automatic payments for the ones you know you are going to have to pay regardless. You can set it up so that the balance comes directly out of your account every month. That way, you don't have to worry about it and your credit will continue to improve. Pay off your debts. The next step to rebuilding your credit is paying off any debts that you may have. Being in debt has a very negative impact on your credit score. The more debt you are in, the more your credit suffers. To get yourself out of debt, you will want to create a debt repayment plan. Essentially, a debt repayment plan is a way to look at everything you owe, compare it to your income, and decide how much you can afford to put toward paying off your debt every month. The important thing is that you work toward paying off your debt each and every month. When I say pay off debt, I am talking about the principal that you owe, not the minimum payments. A lot of people think that they are paying off their debt by taking care of the minimum payment every month. That is not the case. The minimum payment is only the interest on what you owe. What you are concerned about when it comes to fixing your credit is getting out of debt, not just maintaining it. Put something toward paying off the principal of your debt every month, even if it is small. Also, be careful not to create any more debt for yourself. Remember, the higher your debt, the lower your credit rating. If you can't seem to cover your expenses without adding to your debt, go back to your spending plan from step 1 and figure out what you can change to save yourself some more money. If there is nothing more that can be saved, then you are in a situation where your expenses are actually higher than your income. Get your credit score. You might have a hard time improving your credit score if you don't know what it is. In the United States, there are 3 major companies that are required by law to give you at least one free credit report every year. They are Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. In Canada, there are 2 major credit bureaus, Equifax Canada and TransUnion Canada. You can order your free credit report from any of these agencies. Study your credit report and fix mistakes. Once you have your credit report in your hands, you move on to step 5 of credit recovery. In this step, you study your credit report and fix any errors that might exist in it. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that there can't be errors in their credit report. In reality, you would be surprised how many mistakes exist in these things. Do not get lazy and take their word for it. Any error that you can catch and fix is going to take you one step closer to having a healthy credit score again. You will notice when you get it that your credit report reads like the technical document it is. If it's hard to understand, do not worry too much. There are resources that you can tap to help you get the hang of it. All 3 of the major credit agencies that I just mentioned provide total free customer service. If you are having trouble reading the report, call them up and keep them on the line until you understand what you are looking at. Remember, you are not going to be able to make anything better until you know what you are dealing with in the first place. Find and fix other negatives. By now, I have been through most of the common causes of bad credit. Step 6 of credit repair is pinpointing those negatives and fixing as many of them as possible. One of the first things you should check on your credit report is the number of credit inquiries you have. If there are a lot of them, that tells a creditor that you are actively looking to open more and more accounts. Normally, you do this because the ones you already have are not cutting it or because you are being declined by other creditors. Another area that creditors review on your report is court judgments. An example of a court judgment could be something like forced garnishment of your wages for child support that shows a level of irresponsibility. Creditors also don't like to see collections, loan default, and repossessions. 2 areas that used to be bad for credit are foreclosure and bankruptcies. Both of those are still a negative influence. However, they are not the nail in the coffee that they used to be in the past. That is because so many people have gone through them since the economic downturn in the US. If you can demonstrate that you are making a good effort in other financial areas such as paying your bills on time and paying off your debts, some banks will be willing to overlook them. Keep your lines of credit open. One mistake that a lot of people make when they are trying to improve their credit is they shut down all their credit cards. The logic is that if you don't have a credit card, you can't use them to get yourself in trouble again. In reality, the truth is a little bit counterintuitive. Closing your lines of credit actually makes your credit worse. Therefore, you want to keep them open. On the other hand, it is absolutely true that you do not want to use those credit cards to get yourself into debt all over again. So, the best thing you can do is to keep your credit lines open, but never use your actual credit cards. Make them physically unreachable if you have to. Freeze them in blocks device in your freezer and chop them up into pieces. That way, you will have the best of both worlds. You won't be able to overspend, but you won't be hurting your credit score by closing your lines of credit either. Open new lines of credit. Steps 1 to 7 are the pillars of restoring good credit. These last two tips are really going to be the icing on the cake. Once all of your debt has been paid off and your finances are under control, you can start to think about opening new lines of credit. You should only consider this after everything else has been stabilized. When you do, keep in mind that you don't want to open up a bunch of new credit lines all at once. Every time you open a new line of credit, your credit score actually goes down for a little while. Also, remember that no matter how many lines of credit you have, the total amount that you owe should never be more than 30% of your income. Otherwise, that would be a red flag to creditors. Build a good mix of credit. Finally, the last thing you can do to improve your credit rating is to build up a good mix of credit. Like the last step, this is something that you should only consider undertaking once everything else has become stable again. A good mix of credit doesn't mean that you have a Visa card, a MasterCard, a Discover, and an American Express. What we are actually talking about when we say a good mix of credit is having several different kinds of credit lines open. So, for example, if you had a mortgage, a car loan, a couple of major credit cards, and a couple of department store or gas cards, you would have a good mix of credit. Now, the thing is, if you do not have all of these loans, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to immediately run out and get them to raise your credit score. The types of loans you have only make up 10% of your credit rating overall. This is where your financial sense has to come into play. You have to do what makes sense for you. Yes, it might raise your credit score a little bit if you go out and get an auto loan, but if you can afford to buy a used car outright, then it makes more sense financially to buy the car without an installment plan and avoid paying interest on the loan. The most important factors in your credit score are undeniably having a low or zero balance and making on-time payments. Having a good mix of credit is just a bonus. It is not the foundation of your healthy credit score.